Well, good afternoon, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Welcome to our presentation, how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. We're going to get started officially in about 5 minutes or so, but I always like to start the room early just so I can troubleshoot and, get rid of any technical issues that we might have before we start officially. So I hope you're I hope you're ready for some good information, a good webinar, because I'm really excited to share a lot of these trading secrets with you tonight. But again, before we do that, I want to do a quick technology check. If you can hear my voice and see my screen, your screen should say on air right now. Big red thing that says on air. If you can hear me, just type a yes in the chat window for me. That way I know everything is working. I think everything's working okay. It looks good on my side, but that's never on your side. All right, good deal. Peter and Hugh and David and John and Scotty and Omar. Peter, welcome. Good afternoon to you as well. Larry. All right, cool. So it looks like a bunch of you guys are chiming in. I appreciate that. When I say guys, that's guys, girls, boys, everybody. Anybody you can think of. That's what I mean when I say guys. So good to have all of you with us. Those of you that are here a little bit early, that's great. Like I said, we're going to start officially in about 4 minutes or so. But again, just want to make sure the room's working. Broadcasts are going out to YouTube like we normally do, and all that glamorous stuff. And while we're kind of just sitting here getting to know each other, let me know, what time is it by you? Are you in, Eastern time frame like me? It's almost 4:30 here. I'm in Ohio, by the way, just a little bit south of Cleveland, a little bit west of Akron. Born and raised Ohioan. If you didn't know, by the way, VectorVest, who I work for, who is the host, if you will, of these presentations, they have an office here in Ohio. They have an office in North Carolina. So you'll be interacting today with Todd in the background and John and Brian. Those guys are all down in North Carolina, where right now the weather is probably just the same as it is here. But in the winter I start getting jealous of them. Much, much more. All right, David 427. Wow, three Davids in a row. David 427. Another David in the central time frame. And then David R, you're in Toronto. Awesome. Hugh Pacific. 427 Peter, Larry at 4:30, Alan at 1:30. So a couple of you folks out on the West Coast. West Coast somewhere. Not necessarily the West Coast. I mean, you could be in Nevada. Nevada's in the Pacific time frame. So not necessarily in the West Coast, but cool. Looks like for most of you, you're all kind of here in the North American area. Gaetan, you're at 127, so you're out there, it looks like in the West as well. Cool. I always like to ask because, man, I'm 48 and I've been in this industry now since I was 20 years old. Um, and I used to travel all over the world to do these presentations and do classes and live trading events. And it is so nice to be able to sit here at my desk in Ohio and just broadcast this thing everywhere. And I will say that I do enjoy every now and then getting out on the road and talking to people, though. It is nice to have that human contact, but it's also nice not to be on the road for 250 nights a year too. So, David, you asked, is this strategy relevant for Canadians? Absolutely. We have a lot of Canadian clients that use this type of approach as well. Bruce, you, my friend, are the outlier at 6:27 a.m. in Australia. Nice. All right. Also, just kind of wondering, are you retired? Do you work still? Semi-retired? What do you do for a living? I'll start. I work for VectorVest. I am the options trading person here at VectorVest, and I've been doing this for a long time. So we'll talk more about my background a little bit later. But when I originally put these techniques together, and I originally put the concept of how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week, I geared it towards retirees because retirees, well, first off, anybody can use extra income, not just a retiree. But second off, it's a more of a passive approach. So it's something that, yes, you're going to have to sit in front of your computer to find trading opportunities, but then it's not a matter of sitting in front of your computer 8 hours a day while you're out trying to enjoy your entire life. And that kind of goes for working folks too. You know, I don't want you to have to sit in front of your computer all day. I want you to find a way that you can make some money in the market where you don't have to sit there and babysit your trades. So that's kind of what I was thinking when I started doing this class. And I see retired David, you're still working, looking to replace income with a simple income strategy. Scotty, working registered nurse, former Marine. Nice. Thank you for your service. My wife's a nurse practitioner. Still working as an investment. Cool. Retired. Gene, retired. So it looks like, based on some of your retired, Larry, looks like we got I'd say most retired, but some of you guys are still working out there too. I mean, I'm still working. So I don't know. My mentor told me a long time ago, when I asked him about, how long he intends to trade. He's like, as long as I can see the screen and my hand can move the mouse, he's like, I'll be trading. So I'll probably take that approach, at least to my trading, and always do that because it's, like I said, it's such a nice way to, you know, develop some more income. All right. Well, in any case, we are now at 4:30 Eastern Time. So let's officially get started. Welcome again to today's webinar. We call it How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the system here we developed at VectorVest that helps you generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed my life, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging about 3% per month or more, keeping in mind that you can do it with regardless of market direction. So up, down, or whatever, makes no difference. You can do this with little to no prior experience with options. You can do it safer than buying stocks or selling stocks. It's something that you can implement quickly. And if I were in your shoes, you might be thinking, is this too good to be true? Is it legit? And I think a healthy dose of skepticism is always good when you approach something like this. I see those, overhyped ads and the guys in front of their Lamborghinis and, their private jets, which are really rented. And the private jet's probably a studio in California, but whatever. I'm not like that. I let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. So my last full year of trading was 2023. I have a $100,000 account I trade with my clients, and I did $37,226 in profits. That's 37.2%. My goal is to make, on average, 3% per month. Okay? I did that. Now keep in mind, understand it's an average of 3% per month. You can see in January, I actually lost money. Okay? February, I made it all back. I had a nice month in April, a little bit of drawdown. In May, I lost money. But then for the rest of the year, I did pretty darn well. But all said in total, I averaged at 3% per month. My winning trade rate was just under 60%. My average winning trade was $1,000, and my average losing trade was $1,000. Now, unfortunately, I can't share all of my results for you this year yet because I have a glitch in my reporting software. So I've got January, February, and March in there so far, but I can also tell you that April, May, and June, I added another couple of percent profits to my trading account. April, May, and June were not spectacular, but they were profitable. Okay. Looks like July, I might have a little bit of drawdown because, as you know, the market's kind of volatile right now, making a top, trying to change. So I might have a little bit of drawdown in July, but I am on pace to do my average of about 3% per month. You see, in January, I lost under 1%. I made about 11% in February and March. And like I said, in April, May, and June, I added a couple of percent to that. Nothing major. So, like I said, hopefully I'll have that slide updated here shortly as soon as my well, it's not mine. As soon as the data team I use Wingman Tracker, by the way, for my tracking all my statistics. And apparently I have some kind of glitch in my account that they can't give me my report for the last 3 months, but whatever. All right. Now, I've been teaching this since 2016 to students. So I've been doing this a long time now. One of my recent students sent me an email back in December. And he said, "Hey, Ron, just wanted to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using this method, tracking my performance, and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 23 with only 5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retiree in-laws to help them grow their income in retirement." Now, you know, I like to hear that. And there's a lesson in there for you too. Number one, I showed you that I trade a $100,000 account. You don't have to do this. Carrie started with 5 grand. Okay. You can start small while you learn and practice because it builds up quickly. For example, if you started with $5,000 and you average on average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at $1 million. If you start with a little more at 25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than that, you'd be able to get there much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. These are real people, just like you. As I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find you're in a similar position now as they were when they first started. Now, again, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now since 1997, so 27 years now. Now, like a lot of traders, when I first started, I had mostly losses. Now, the reason I was losing money was because I'm trading in a way that a lot of you trade, right? It means you have to be right to win. So if I like something and I bought it, it had to go up or I didn't make any money. I also was comfortable with short selling. So I was a commodities futures trader. So if I sold something, it had to go down for me to make money. So the first hurdle was we got to figure out how to figure out direction, right? How do I know if something's going to go up and how do I know if something's going to go down? That's step one. Then step two is how do I make sure that my average gain is not overtaken by my average loss? It's no good if I'm right 70% of the time, but those 3 out of 10 losing trades wipe out all my gains. It's not going to work. So there's some balls you have to juggle as a trader, as an investor, right? Well, a big aha moment came to me when one of our clients, he was actually a hedge fund manager. He came to our office to visit us. He was a client of ours, and he was in the area and he wanted to stop in and say hello. And he also taught me a little bit about options. I had never traded options at that point. And he said, "Listen, let me show you how we at the institutional level use options, our secrets, if you will, to trade and make money." Well, long story short, he showed me how I could use options that even if I was wrong with my analysis, I bought something because I thought it was going to go up and it didn't go up, I could still make money. He also showed me how options, you can use them to control your risk. So essentially, he showed me how to stack probability. I could win when I was wrong and control my risk. There was a maximum I could lose, and that was it. Think of the pressure that takes off you. You don't even have to be right to make money. Options were really an eye opening thing for me. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate those types of returns, case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. I'll show you our system so that if you learn and follow the strategies, you can do the same. And if you stay with me to the end, I put together a checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF. I'll drop it right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. You can click on it, print it out today. But just do me a favor. When we get to the end, just remind me, because 9 times out of 10, after an hour of speaking, I completely forget to do that for you guys. Okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you. And that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finances are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we'll run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, even your relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how much inflation's gone nuts the last couple of years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll have to continue to have those losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. With a system, though, to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay close attention. Write this down. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. But to be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say that again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having that second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This allows you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. So as I said, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian is a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't have a lot to invest with to start. Now, Brian had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits starting with just 6 grand. He achieved 100% winning trade rate in 10 months. 100% winning trades. You know, it's statistically unusual, but you're going to have streaks like this. He had 31 of 31 winning trades using our basic system. Now, the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system. The system that helped Brian get that 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit starting with only 6 grand in 10 months. Now, the first thing you need to do to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, the reason why you want to be the casino or the house, well, number one, the house always wins, right? Number two, the house always wins because they control and stack probability in their favor. The options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and your results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. So the obvious question is, how do you do it? Well, that first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. He focused on our SPX income system, which is our basic trading system. He says he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the system. And that whole thing takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it'll go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do, right? If you think a stock goes up, you buy a call. Well, what ends up happening a lot of times? Well, either the stock doesn't go up, maybe it doesn't go up enough, and the call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? That describes my first part of options trading. It's why I didn't like options when I started it. Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel they picked maybe the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong option strike price or the wrong option expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. That's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option, but as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping a stock just goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock just to go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go down to here, I can make money. Now think about that. You have a stock, it's trading at $203 a share. We pick a price at $195. Now, all the stock has to do over the next couple of weeks is stay above $195 and we make money. If the stock goes up, we make money fast. If the stock goes sideways, we make money a little slower. But as long as the stock stays above $195, we win. And if it drops below $195, we would exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Now, in some trades, we can even increase that probability even more by choosing a lower price, like in this case, 190. Now you have a 70% chance of trade success. You can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and that's the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Bruce continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he posted in our private group and said, "Another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere." That's a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike was someone who dabbled with options but lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Eventually, he gave up. He went back to try to learn more about options, but said he still never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He had all of this knowledge, but no set criteria of how to use it. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system, being an option seller, and he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades. He had a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. Now, the key lesson here is simple. That switch from being the buyer or gambler to seller or the house turned his situation around. He was so proud of his success, he even gave me a spreadsheet of his trades. Now, here's Mike's results. Notice the number of winners compared to losers. That's pretty typical. Also, notice the length of trades 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 11. He was pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. Now, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, they start out by just trading the S&P 500. That's an index that tracks the S&P. This only involves one trade per week, and the compounded has averaged about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. We're growing your account steadily each year. And that's the key takeaway. Home runs certainly look good, but singles are what win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and to be able to do the things you want to do. Now, you've seen by simply flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number 1 is that option buyers choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Here's an example. Here's a stock. Let's say you're bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy their calls way up here. Okay? Stock's at 215, they buy a call at 230. They're not going to make money unless the stock goes to 230. Why would they do that? Why would you set yourself up to make money the really hard way here? Well, they do it because they're cheap. Many buyers treat options like lottery tickets. Well, I could just buy this option for $50 and we'll see what happens. Most of the time they lose. Now, since there's always going to be buyers out there who are buying these options, you may as well be the one who sells them that options. When you sell these options, they have a low probability of winning. As the seller, you have a high probability of winning. All the stock has to do is stay below $230 at this point. Now, the same goes for people who buy puts way below the market. Maybe they're doing it, again, as a cheap lottery play, or maybe they're buying insurance for their stock. Either way, they're buying those options out there. It doesn't matter why they're doing it. You may as well be the one who sells it to them, okay? Because when you sell these options, it's going to give you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the start of the trade. You're setting a trade up that has a 60 to 90% probability of success. Now, the second mistake that a lot of buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are too close to the current date. It's like going to the grocery store and seeing a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it's going to be worthless very soon. The same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days to expiration. So first, in the upper left-hand corner up here, okay, oops, let me go over here. You've got an option 180 days away from expiration. Down here, 0 days. Now notice what happens. As we get closer and closer to expiration, we're getting lower and lower option value. But then something magical happens right about here. In the last 45 days of the option's life, that option loses value tremendously. This is terrible for an option buyer. Now, why do option buyers buy these options so close to expiration? Because the premium has run out and they're very, very cheap. It's that lottery mentality again. What we're going to do is use that last 45 days and we're going to sell options in that window instead of buying. Now, to be more specific, our paycheck system uses expiration dates that are 21 to 45 days away. That's actually our sweet spot for this. Now, to show you another way, this is a graph of Home Depot. Many buyers out there, they'll buy an option expiration with something like a month or a month and a half away, but that expiration date's too close. Why? Because even if the stock goes in their direction, the premium or the value of that option drops off just because it's getting so close to expiration. That's bad for the option buyer. But you're going to be the option seller. You're going to let this time decay work in your favor. Now, again, remember this. There will always be people buying options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino, because that's going to give you that 60 to 90% chance of success right from the very start of the trade. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much for their options. They buy what's called an overpriced options. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Take a look at these two stocks. I want you to notice they're both essentially the same price, right around 76 bucks. But even though the stock's at the same price, their premiums for options are extremely different. Over on the left, that's a $900 option. Over on the right, it's $180. Now, why are those options so different in price? Same stock price, same expiration, same strike. Well, that option on the left has extremely high volatility. That means the option is overpriced. Buyers who buy those options are paying too much. Well, what's the big deal? Well, here's the best way I can describe this to you, right? I always use the strawberry analogy with my kids. My kids love strawberries. Actually, I went out earlier, bought them more strawberries today. I bought 2 more pints of strawberries, of course, whatever I buy. Now, when I buy them strawberries, okay, it averages, I'm going to say about $2.50 for a pint of strawberries or a quart. I can't remember what it is. I think it's a pound. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I live in Ohio, by the way, so if that seems cheap to you, I'm a Midwestern guy. Sometimes we get things cheap. Now, average price is around $2.50. I have paid as much as $5, and today I actually got them on sale for $1.50. Very inexpensive today. Now, do my kids care that they're expensive or inexpensive? No, they don't care, because when they eat the strawberries, it tastes the same. The $1.50 ones I bought today taste the same as the $5 ones I bought 2 months ago. Doesn't matter to them. But options are a different story, because the premium of the option is what's going to say if you make money on the trade or not. I want you to watch this. Both of these stocks, let's simulate, go up $8 a share. Think about that, right? If you'd have bought 100 shares of each of these stocks, you just walked away with an $800 profit on each of these stocks. However, you bought the option, you bought the call because you wanted to take advantage of leverage. You're an options person. It's great. I think you should do it. But look at what happens to the profits on both of those trades. Over on the left, that was actually a losing trade. You would have not made money. You got direction right, but because the option was expensive, you didn't make a profit. Over on the right, that option would have had about almost a 400% return. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it all goes back to volatility. When you buy expensive options, you pay too much and you are lowering your probability even more. Well, guess what? As a seller, though, this is a great advantage to me. If I can find these really expensive options and sell them to people, it allows me to A, make more money, B, decrease my monetary risk so I lose less on the trade if I'm wrong, and 3, I can even increase my probability even more. I can even be more wrong on my trade and still make money. These overpriced options are all about stacking probability. That's what we're trying to do here. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he either ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategies that controlled and stacked probability in his favor. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control and stack your results, you got to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. So let me turn this over to you in the chat. Have you made any of those buyer's mistakes? Do me a favor, in the chat window, just type in yes or no. That's all you got to do. And if you've never traded options before, let me know that too. Of course. Yep. Lorenzo, you were first. David, yes. Peter, Hari, you were next as well. Rue, Brian. We've all made those mistakes. Like I said, that was the founding of my options trading right there. It's why I didn't like options to begin with, right? Listen, we've all made those mistakes. It's not our fault. We were just taught a broken system. Now, at this point, hopefully you kind of see the advantage here of being an option seller. So let's now look at how to trade with very little risk. And this is important because when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's very, very risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options. This is why it's such a core strategy we teach to our retirees. And why is reducing risk so important? Most people who don't use the options paycheck system aren't preserving their capital. They can have one bad trade wipe out the gains from a bunch of winners. It's the worst thing I've ever seen before. I've never had this happen to me personally. Now, I want to expand on that just a little bit. It's not that I've never had losing trades. I've had losing trades. I closed out 2 losing trades today when the market reversed, when the market went down today. It happens. Sometimes I get direction wrong too, and sometimes even with probability, it's not enough. But the benefit of trading options like we do it with the options paycheck is we know our risk up front. There's no such thing as an undefined risk here. At the start of the trade, I make sure that this scenario cannot happen. If it can, I would walk away from that trade. Because if this happens, when you suffer those large losses, it's hard. It takes a long time to recover. But when you do it right, with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. That's going to let you preserve and grow your capital. When you can select those stocks, set up your trades in a way that reduces risk, you get to preserve and grow. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what wins the game. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, can you trade this from an IRA? And the answer is yes. In fact, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. John had tried and struggled for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. So the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we find rising stocks that are rising in price when the market is rising. Okay, very similar to what you would see here. Then, and this is the important part when it comes to the option world, instead of selling an option naked with no protection, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how this works. A traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk, lots of risk. But the options paycheck system is going to shrink your risk to this. So let me show you how this works. Now, again, this is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph. It's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would go out and you buy the stock here at the current price. Now, maybe you even buy a call using the stock price as your strike price. Well, that's great, but you're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. So here's what you're going to do. When you think a stock will go up, you are going to sell a put below the price of the stock. So this stock's trading at around 138. We're in this example, we're going to sell a 135 put. When you sell that put, you get paid. Okay? In this case, $200. If you did it on 10 contracts, you get paid $2,000. Sounds great, right? You have no downside protection at that point. Now, let me explain why you have no downside protection. When you sell an option, it's not like when you sell your car, right? You sign your title over, turn it in, trade it in, whatever. Car's no longer yours. You pay off your loan. Maybe you own it. You get a check, whatever. Car's gone. It's not yours anymore. But options are different. The best comparison I can think of to an option is when you buy insurance, whether it's car insurance, house insurance, whatever. You pay your insurance company a premium, right? That premium protects your property for a certain period of time. Options are the same thing. When you sell an option, you get paid a premium. That option you sold is a contract that runs for a certain period of time. Now, in the case of, let's say, your car insurance, let's say you buy a 3-month policy. If any time during that 3 months you have an accident, your insurance company protects you and will repair your car. But if you don't have any claims, they keep your premium and then you renew 3 months later. Options are basically the same. When I sell this 135 put, I'm going to choose an expiration 21 to 45 days away. Now, when I sell this put, I'm selling a contract that says at any time I may be obligated to buy the stock for 135 bucks. Now, let's say the stock goes down big time and all of a sudden you are obligated to buy the stock for 135 bucks. Let's say it drops to 100. The stock's at 100 bucks. Your contract says, hey, you got to buy this at 135. Now, I can tell you this. I've been doing this for 15 years at this point. I've never been assigned in any of my option paycheck trades. So I've never actually had this happen to me because I exit the trade before any of this happens. Okay? But just know that it can happen. And if you had to buy the stock for 135 bucks when the market's trading at 100, you got a problem. So what we need to do is protect this trade. What we do is we go out, take a little bit of that premium that we collected, move a little bit lower, lock in the risk by buying an insurance policy. We're going to go down there, and in this case, we're going to buy a $100 put as an insurance policy. Now, when you buy a put, that gives you the right to sell stock at that price. So I've got kind of two things going on here in the option world. I may have to buy the stock for 135, but now I can turn around and sell it to somebody else for 130, limiting my risk to $5. Now, again, in 15 years, I've never actually had to do that. You can do it if you need to, but I've never had to do that because we are going to exit these trades before that ever becomes a concern. And we'll talk more about that as I get into some more examples. Now, the net of this trade is you get paid 100 bucks. If you do it on 10 contracts, you get paid $1,000. Now, the most that you can make on this trade is $1,000. The net result here is this. As long as the stock stays above 135, you are going to win. Now, how are you going to win? Good question. It's like any other trade. If I think a stock is going to go up, I can buy 100 shares of the stock. When I've made enough money, I can sell the stock and walk away and keep my profits. Options are the same thing. When I enter the trade, I get paid. In this case, $1,000. Like any other trade, I can exit the trade anytime I want. So if the stock goes up, I can exit the trade by paying the options off essentially. So what's going to happen here is this. When you enter the trade, you get paid $1,000. As long as the market stays above 135, as long as it goes up, sideways, heck, you can go down a little bit. What happens with that value of the option contracts you sold is they're going to start to go down. You entered the trade, you got paid $1,000. You can exit the trade by paying the broker what the options are now worth. So as the stock goes up, the options may be worth 500 or 400 or 300. You can pay your broker $300, exit the trade, and you get to keep the difference. Now, if the stock drops below 135, this is where we're going to exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. That's our stop for the trade. The option that we sell becomes the stop price. So as soon as it drops below 135, we exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. You don't stay in the trade forever. We have a predefined profit. We have a predefined exit. Now, let's kind of dig in a little bit deeper. I want to show you some trades that I set up with my clients last year. And again, these are actual trades that I took with my clients in class, part of that 37% I showed you. So I'm going to be showing you some numbers here, so pay attention. When the market is bullish, we place bullish income trades. I want to show you a tip. What we do is we pick options that give us at least a 60% probability of winning. You may not know this, but options have probability. If you look into an options broker, whether it's Thinkorswim, whether it's whatever, options all have a built-in probability. Maybe your option broker has a probability calculator. In fact, every option has a calculation of probability. Let me show you what I mean. This is an example of a great stock going up as the market's moving up, making higher highs. It's beautiful. This is Pulte from back in last summer. Now, I think Pulte is going to continue to go up. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Since I think the stock's going to go up, I'm going to go to my broker and start looking at puts that I can sell. I'm going to go underneath the price. So I go to my broker and I see that I can sell a $75 put, which is this first purple line right there, pink line. That's going to give me a 56% probability. I have a 56% probability of staying above $75 a share. Right now the stock's trading at 76. If I go down to here at $73, I would have a 73% probability. So that means I have a 73% chance of this trade staying above 73 over the next 21 to 45 days. In this case, it was about 28 days. If I go all the way down here at 70, I have a 91% chance of staying above there. Now again, probability is based on the historic movement of the stock. There's a calculation they do. So based on the historic movement of Pulte, it's got a 91% chance of staying above $70 for the next month. 73, 73%. 75, 56%. Now let me ask you, which one would you choose? If I was telling you I could get you a trade with 56% probability, 73 or 91%, which one would you choose? Be honest, which one would you rather have? $91, right? Yeah. David, you hit it right off the mark. Peter, Hari, 91%. Why not? I mean, that's what I would choose, right? 91%. I would love it. Here's the problem, though. 91% sounds great. But you remember that slide with the one bad apple? That's the bad apple. If you do that trade, there's a good chance that every time you're right, you might make $1,000. Sounds pretty good. But every time you're wrong, you might lose 15 grand. That's not so good. What good is taking 9 winning trades in a row and making 9,000 when that one trade comes in and you lose everything? It's not good. Now, what we're looking for is we are looking for a balance. We're looking for a balance. I want to have probability balanced with my risk. Okay? Now, my probability and risk balances right around 60% probability. Remember I told you we're going to be near 60%? So in this particular case, I'm going to be at B, 73% probability. Now, let me explain how this trade works. This is called a bull put spread. Bull because the market's bullish and we expect to go up. Puts because both of these options are puts. I'm going to sell a $73 put, and in the same transaction, I'm going to buy a $70 put. Okay? Now, what happens is when I do this in this particular trade, I brought in about $1,700. When I sold this trade, I have about $1,700 deposited into my trading account. Now, again, like a car, I don't just get to walk away, right? I have a trade on. That trade is going to change in value every day. If the stock goes up, the value actually declines. it may only be worth $850. If the stock goes the wrong way, it might be worth $2,500. Now, when I exit the trade, I have to pay the broker back. So if I exit the trade because the stock went up, I'm going to pay the broker back less and I keep the difference. If the stock goes down, I'm going to have to pay the broker back more. They're going to take back that $1,700 and I'm going to have to dig in my pocket for a loss. Okay? Now, the way this trade worked is this. The stock went up 3 days, had big day that third day, and I was able to exit that trade and I pulled in $876 in profit. So I took in about $1,700 and I exited the trade with about $870 in profit. Okay, so I exited the trade, I sold it for 800 and whatever the difference is right there, and I made money. Now the typical trade takes about 7 to 10 days. This stock happened to move up very, very quickly, very, very fast, and I was out of the trade. My predetermined profit level is 50% of max profits. Okay, now when the market turns bearish, we place bearish income trades. So target is in an extended downtrend. And the best part about target to me is if I drop below that, guess what? I'm dropping below a big support level. That's huge. So I think target's going to come down. Now, I'm going to do a bearish trade on target. I'm going to choose this expiration here. This expiration is more in the 40-day range. Remember, I'm looking for 21 to 45, okay? This one's more in the 40-day range. So I go out, I look at my options, and here's what I see. Over the next 40 days, all right, over the next 40 days, I have a 64% chance of staying below 135. That gives my trade a 64% probability. I have a 76% chance of staying below 140. I have an 85% chance of staying below 145. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think option you should select? Okay, so David, you picked 76. C, Peter, Hari, David, 64. B, Jim, C. Okay, well, here's the thing. You guys are kind of mixed here. You're selecting B and C. Well, I'll tell you what. You're all right. Every one of you that said B or C is correct. You can sell the 64% option or you can sell the 76% option. What's the defining factor here? What's the defining factor? The defining factor is risk. What I'm going to do is I am going to sell the option that gives me the highest probability with an acceptable level of risk. Now, in this case, it actually was B at 76%. Now, I did actually use that 145 option though. What I did is I sold the 140 call and I bought the 140 call. So when the stock is going to go down, you do a trade called the bear call spread. Bearish because the market's going down, calls because now we're using calls, and spread. When I entered this trade, I was paid $1,500. My goal is to exit the trade as the stock goes down and exit the trade when it's only worth $750. I can exit the trade, pay the broker $750, and then I keep the $750 difference. Just like I did here. I didn't get out exactly at $750. I made it $765.34 after commission, but you get the idea. Now, the cool part about this trade is this. The stock didn't move very much. In 7 trading days, though, it went from about 131 down to like 127. That's it. Didn't even move very much, but that was enough to make profits. That's the beautiful thing. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he felt that his results were inconsistent. He was unsatisfied with those. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. You ever felt that way? There's something more out there? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income and had a high probability of success. After learning the system of being an option seller, he told me that he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade lasted about 8 days. Typical, 7 to 10 days. Can you imagine how much must feel from where you're going from inconsistent to where all of your trades like that are generating income? Well, that was Jim. What about you? What would a system like this allow you to do? Give me some examples. Type some examples in the box. Retire earlier for those of you that are still working. Maybe do a little more travel. Okay. Pay off my mortgage. I see that one. That's a good one. That's my goal. Get that thing paid off. Retire more or retire more, not retire more. I see retire, then travel more. I combine the two ones and hurry, retire earlier. Yeah. Scale back, quit my job if I can scale enough, travel more. Exactly. Now, we said before that buying is gambling and selling is all about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. That's how you generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And again, it all goes back to whether you want to be the gambler or the casino. Keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you make consistent income. It's how you can do it safer, have a higher percentage of success more than buying and selling stocks. Now, let's put this together, and I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who have implemented this system have told me this is the most important thing they learned. Why? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? And it's a great question. Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there, and you got to find how you pick the right stock, the right strategy, when do you get in, what expiration, what price, what do you do if it goes against you, when do you get out? And sometimes it feels like you're trying to find a needle in the haystack. There's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. You spend hours researching your trades, or you go from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blindly. It's like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades and get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to do that, you need a system, and not just any system, a straight line system, a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. Let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of ties it all together. Now, at the top of the system is market direction. A lot of traders just ignore this and they go out and start placing trades. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, and you have to have a way to know the market's direction. By doing this, you're narrowing your focus. So instead of looking at everything, you're looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. Now, our options paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use that tells us the market's direction. After you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know or listening to the gurus on TV, it's not the best choice for this. What you want to do is find good stocks that are already in uptrends when the market is rising, and you want to find bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, to do this, we use 2 things. We look at fundamentals and we look at price trend, aka the charts. We have pre-built searches in VectorVest, which we use instead of digging through all the data the institutions throw at you. Now, once you have a list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on an options price. The options paycheck focuses on selling options with volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings, and we make sure the expiration date is in the sweet spot. While you can use a lot of tools from your broker, we happen to have a proprietary search tool that helps find these candidates in really just a matter of seconds. Now it's time to set up your trade. We pick the one that has a high probability of success based on the strike price that we choose. Okay? Lastly, we have to make sure that the trade has the proper balance of risk reward. We want to make sure we have that risk reward so you don't have one losing trade that wipes out all your winners. Now, before you place that trade, we got to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you to be sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our options paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. If the trade goes against you, I even teach an adjustment strategy that can help minimize your losses. And we also have predefined exits to give up on the trade when it goes against you. You can even set these up in your broker ahead of time, depending on your broker. Okay? That way, all of this stuff happens very unemotionally. Now, last, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using, right? Now, some brokers have great tools. Thinkorswim has great tools. IB, Fidelity has great tools. Tastytrade has good tools, right? You might find a paid tool to be very effective. For example, I like to use our proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro. It helps save me a lot of time. Now, speaking of time, we talked earlier about Mike and Jim. They said they're getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He wanted to have that proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. Are you like that? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over 26 grand in profits in 4 months. Now, I want you to do a little exercise here. I want you to take your pen, look at the 6-step process here, and I want you to put a little star next to the areas where you think you're good at right now. So if you're good at finding stocks that go in the direction of the market, you're good at market direction and stock finder. That's great. If you've never traded options before, maybe option selection down, you're going to need some work. So if there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little work, put a little frowny face there. So for example, if you don't know how to manage and repair your trades, put a little frown there. Don't overthink it. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to give yourself a star or a frown. Okay, I gave you a little bit more time than that. I was trying to take a drink of a drink of coffee. My throat was getting really scratchy. Now listen, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Now let me ask you, in the chat window, I want you to share with me, what areas do you need to work on? Just share with me in the chat. All right. I see trade management, trade setup and management, all of them. Option selection, Peter, trade setup, frown. Um, trade setup, Hugh, trade management, when to get out, David. All right, so listen, none of those are wrong answers, none of those are bad answers. It's all about pinpointing areas that you need to work on to become better. That's really what it's all about. Now, what we need is you to have stars all the way down your list. Because when you have those stars all the way down and you have a system in place, you're going to do well. Now, listen, I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few educated guesses. Maybe you've been trading blindly. You know, you're kind of like that mouse bumping into wall after wall. Maybe it left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but then you lose it all again on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in just isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today I showed you the secrets to fixing that. And again, it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. How you can do it with low risk, even less risk than just buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that helps you get consistent income every month. Now, I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use the system every day, so they never have to worry about their retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now, remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this. Okay? There's going to be 99 other investors out there doing the wrong things. They'll be buying options and making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. As long as they're out there, they need the casino. Because remember, the saying, the old house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor, just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement this in my paycheck system right now? How do I get this in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1 is you can do absolutely nothing. Stay exactly where you are. And listen, if you already have enough to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, then you might not need the system. That's great. But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, then that leaves you with two other options. Option two is you can do it alone. You can try to learn how option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, then learn to analyze the thousands of stocks to find the best ones to trade, and then hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. If you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option three is the simple one. Let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system. In a few weeks, you'll have the simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So, of those three options, ask yourself what's going to be easier. There's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action or do anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who is serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two. And that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So I want to tell you what we put together. The Options Paycheck Experience, it's the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option trades, even if you've never traded an option before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. We show you exactly how to find, set up, and manage option spreads to generate income, and how to do it safely and consistently in any market condition so you never fear running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work with all the fancy terms, so you no longer have to fear options. You're going to have clear signals telling you when to trade or when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates for your option income trades. And we're using a rules-based approach. That frees up a lot of time. We're going to be able to set up income trades that give you a base 70% success rate. Again, even if you've never traded an option before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to taking your trades. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to learn how to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th. We're going to implement a system to safely and consistently generate income. That way you can live the lifestyle you want without the fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to the end goal, which is a system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules are what we call the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base that portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. We totally understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there too. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's done this before. The outcome you're going to get in Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to and which to ignore. That way you don't get frustrated or you're wasting your time. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with all the confidence you need to start building your income system around these powerful trades. Now that you've constructed that solid foundation of option knowledge, it's time to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades that generate your options paycheck. Now, each step along the way from here is going to stack probability more in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. You're going to get complete clarity here on market trends. So instead of focusing on all trades, you're going to narrow your focus to either bullish or bearish. And again, when not to trade as well. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction of the market. That's going to stack your probability even further. Now, the outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade, and that's going to give you the highest probability. Now that you've got a list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates. Not every good stock is a good options trade. These are the ones that are going to give you the highest probability for profit. So by using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. Now, you're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. Here, you're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward. You'll know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and setting them up correctly right from the beginning. You're going to get your high probability trade picked out. You're ready to go. Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but also to minimize your losses. You will never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you found the best stock, you set up your low risk, high probability option trade, and you mapped out your management game plan, it's time to place your trade. This module will break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps. That way you can commit it to muscle memory in no time. We put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. So when someone is first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything right. Plus, placing trades with your broker can be very intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we've also put together click-by-click directions for one of the most popular brokers out there, Thinkorswim from Schwab. Now, before I talk about the price of the course, I want to make it even more low risk for you. We have a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied with touch out a profit using options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course and you get your money back. It's completely no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, whichever. We do it live and we have recordings you can watch either way. Do the assignments because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for the refund. Now, the reason I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in and do the work and get the results. I want to attract those serious investors out there. And in order to do that, when I make a tighter refund policy, I only attract those serious investors. Now, when you do the system, you're going to be learning a system that averages about 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but very effective system. Now, I want to talk about this real quick. Joe trades quite a bit. 10 months, he took 350 trades, 35 trades a month. I'm willing to bet that Joe spends more than 15 minutes a day on this, and that's fine. Then you've got guys like Bruce who spend 15 minutes a day. You've got guys like me. I trade 15 trades a month maybe. Then you've got guys like Mike who only trade once a week with the index system. The beautiful thing about this system is it scales to how you want to do it. Okay? Now, I love reading emails like this from clients. I love hearing about that because it solidifies that, yes, this is a good working system, but it's also working for you as well. Now, listen, if I went to Joe before he took the class and said, hey, Joe, I'll give you 100 grand in exchange for your 2, do you think he'd take that trade? Think you would take that? Well, I got an offer I'll be making you here in just a few minutes. Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, okay? It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. But I got some great bonuses for you as well. Bonus 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. The Mastery Package includes module by module mastery sessions. Remember, there's 8 modules. We do a live mastery session for each module. Each week, we're going to have 2 of those. They're dedicated to each module. That way you can master the course material. Plus, on Friday, I have an additional live Q&A. That means you're going to have 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The Mastery Package also includes private dedicated email support with me and my team. Additionally, if you don't already have it, you're going to get access to VectorVest and the Options Pro software through the month of August and the first, I think, 3.5 weeks of September. I use this software. You can test drive it as well. It's not required. It's not mandatory, but it gives you a chance to test some options tools out there. With this Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course. That way you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. Now, speaking of that, the second bonus is called the implementation bonus. You're going to get access to my live trading courses, my live trading sessions. During these sessions, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action. You can follow along in your own account if you want to. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students have said this was the favorite part of the course because watching that repetition really helped them cement the concepts in the process. Now, if you're worried it's going to be too much, I'm including a bonus. It's called the SPX Paycheck System. This is where I take that entire course, I boil it down to something you can do as little as 15 minutes a week. It's one trade on one symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's simple, it's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do it. For many of my students, this is the only system they use. So with a recap, you're going to get the Complete Options Paycheck Experience training program, which includes 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything you need. The bonus mastery package, the implementation month bonus, and the SPX paycheck system. The total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. We're going to do this. I'm going to make you an options trader. I'm going to make you an income trader. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and install that option income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is only $12.95. Now, you have stuck with me for an hour here, so I want to give you guys a little something special. So if you order before the end of our live webinar today, it's going to be probably another 20 minutes or so with questions and answers somewhere around there. You don't have to stick around for that if you don't want to. You can just order right now. Just go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Take advantage of it. You get everything I talked about for $9.95. Okay? Now that's only going to be for those who register during the live session tonight. Once we finish, it goes right back up to $12.95. So all you got to do is go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Now ask yourself, listen, I know $9.95 is a lot of money. Understand we also have that money back guarantee as well. But how much money are you going to lose out by trying to do this on your own? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it worked? You know, there's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back on where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create a consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. It's a low risk opportunity. It's balls in my court. Let me show you how to do it. So just get out there, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the course before and you want the lowest price, you're seeing it right here. After the webinar, it goes back to $12.95. So don't wait. I don't want you to miss out on this. www.optionspaycheck.com. Hey, listen, if you know you're signing up, just give us a quick shout out in the chat window. We like to see who's signing up before we actually look at the numbers. So just say, hey, Ron, I'm in. We're going to welcome you, and we're going to tell you what's next. Now, before I get to the Q&A, 2 questions that are always asked the most popular. Ron, you said it's a live class. You said it's a recorded class. What are you talking about? When is it? What if I miss a class? Well, first off, let me show you the schedule for the end of July and the month of August. Our first live session is Tuesday, July 30th at 4:30. That's our welcome session. We're just going to make sure that you know where all the materials are, what to expect from the course, how to get help, just letting you know what we're expecting. Okay? Then on Wednesday the 31st, we have our first mastery session. So if you sign up right now, you're going to get access to all of the course content. The only thing you're not going to get access to right off the bat is VectorVest and Options Pro. And that's okay because you don't need those until really the second week of the class anyway, if you need them at all. So between now and then, watch Module 1. That's it. That's what I want you to do. Wednesday the 31st, we're going to get together at 4:30 and we're going to discuss Module 1. Questions you have, I'll go through the quizzes with you. We're going to make sure that you've mastered the content. Then Thursday, we're going to do Module 2, and then Friday we have an open Q&A. Now, all of these sessions are recorded. So you don't have to attend them live if you don't want to. You can just simply watch the recordings, and you're going to be perfectly fine. My advice, 2 modules a week through the month of August. Okay? I want you to learn the system in August because September rolls around, and that is when we're going to trade together. I'm hoping that you'll be ready to implement your first trades sometime in the month of September. If you're not ready, it's okay. We're still going to work together. We still have a bunch of live sessions, live trading on Mondays, except for when Labor Day comes in, it's on Tuesday, and those office hours where we're going to repeat the process over and over and over again. We're going to make sure that we work with you enough that you're comfortable using the system. Another one of our attendees, Greg, said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to use. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trade with 9 winners and only 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you pay to take the entire course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time and I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Now, second question is, how much options experience do I need? I know there's a lot of you out there that said that you've never done this before. Well, I like to work with probability, as you may know. We pulled all of our prior attendees, and 85% of them said that you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. So there you go. Probability is on your side that you'll be able to do this even if you're a beginner. We're going to teach you the right way from the ground floor. Just a few more of our clients who've taken the course over the years. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectation. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I've already have a profit of 7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. And a couple more of our more recent students. Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short period of time, you opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David, the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years of VectorVest since 99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Ben said the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, get out there, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price only lasts while we're live on the webinar. Afterwards, it goes up to $12.95. And then registration does close Tuesday, July 30th. Okay, that's when the live class starts. So fill in your details, get out there, get signed up. I want to work with you over the next 2 months and implement this in your portfolio. All right, here's what I would like to do. I'm going to bring in my colleague, Brian. Brian's going to come in here and he's going to wrap things up with questions. We're going to answer questions together and anything else we need to talk about that you might be curious of to get started with the options paycheck. Brian?
All right, fantastic. We had a lot of questions in the chat box that we've been answering one-on-one right back to people. So if you do have a question that we didn't get to in the chat, be sure to type it in. But all of you who are in, welcome to you. Great to have you in. Like the first one I see out of the corner of my eye is Hari, says I'm in. David, I see you as well, say I'm in. You guys should have instant access, so be sure to log into your account and you'll be able to start. Like Ron said, he said, I want you to watch lesson 1 or the first module. Get in there and do that. You have a week or so before we start doing the live session, so be sure to get in there and check it out. Now a bunch more people type it in. I'm in because I just called a bunch of people out. So welcome to all of you who are in. I'll read your names off in a bit. Ron, the $9.95 you mentioned, this is good just for today while we're live. So we are, what is it? We got about 15, 20 minutes, or I think you probably have it up there. 30 minutes. Oh, I was off by a little bit there. So when you go there, you'll see a little countdown timer. That's how much longer you have to get the $9.95, and all you really have to do is hit the register button, and then there's a button that'll say, hey, just to make sure, and then just fill in your details and you're ready to go. So that is the $9.95. The only thing I'll add to that is some of you in the chat have taken this course before, because Ron's been teaching this for a while, and you might have taken it years ago and you're like, you know what, I just want to get a little refresher to see kind of what Ron's added to the course. Ron redid the course about a couple of years ago. We totally revamped the course, called it the Options Paycheck Experience now. So some of you took it prior to 2022, I believe is when we did, around May of 2022. If you took it prior to then, you might say, you know what, I want to definitely get a refresher. Sometimes people who took it a year ago want a refresher. If that's you, you qualify for the alumni rate, which is basically half off, which is $4.95. When I say half off, I mean half off what you're looking at on the screen there. We have a $4.95 rate for you. We would have sent you an email, but if you didn't get that email, just call our office. Or actually, you could just type into the chat box and John will double check your account and give you a special link. All right. All right. So with that being said, Ron Wheeler, a few of the people were asking questions about the course itself. So I thought maybe we could, before we dive into some of the specifics that people are asking about, open interest and how much money they need in their account and things like that, maybe we could just give people a little tour of the course itself.
Sure.
Maybe just like a high level tour, but
Absolutely.
I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah. So when you get the link, when you sign up, for all of you that are in, you're going to get access to what we call our university site. And it looks exactly like this. In the middle, you're going to see the screen where you kind of watch all the videos and everything. And of course, you can maximize that. There's a little maximize button in the corner if you want to make it the full screen. So you can do that, of course. But on the left-hand side, this is kind of like your table of contents. You're going to see a lesson area and a resource area. Also a notes, but we don't use that section. Just notes, or I'm sorry, lessons and resources. So the first thing I want you to do, you can watch this Get Started video. There's going to be a live welcome recording. We'll have that up on July 31st, so the day after we do the live session. But before you do that, under course curriculum checklist, I want you to open that guy up first. Look at your checklist, because this is going to be kind of the guide I want you to follow through the whole system. So as I scroll down there, just print this out, hit the little print button up there, and it's going to give you all what we're going to try to do here over the next 2 months. But then more importantly, it gives you kind of a checklist of what I want you to do each lesson. So in lesson 1, watch the snapshot, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. So if you look over here, you're going to see module 1, option foundation builder. If you click on the link that says recorded lessons, there's your snapshot, lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just put a check mark for all of those there. Down a little bit farther is your module review and action items. Every module has an action item. We want you to actually go out there and start doing this, implementing this thing right away as fast as you can. Okay? You'll also see on the checklist, review questions. There's a quiz section right there for review questions. You'll also see an action items. Remember I told you there's going to be some action items we want you to do? There's also an accompanying video that walks you through the action items. That way you're not really worried about, I can't figure this out on my own. You can just watch a video of us doing that with you. We'll also help you do that when we do our mastery sessions. You'll also see an FAQ section for frequently asked questions. And then right down here, this is where you're going to see the link to the mastery session recording. So the first mastery session is going to be on July 31st. If you open that thing up on August 1st, you're going to see a link to a recording from August 1st. Right now it says, May 1st. That's our old one that we had from our last class. You are free to watch that if you'd like to, But that'll be updated with your class as we get through each live session. All 8 of the modules, they're all assigned or they're all ordered the same way. Once you scroll down, you get below module 8. This is where you're going to see that SPX trading system bonus. If you want to start with this, a lot of people like to do that. Start with the SPX paycheck and start with the 35 delta trade. I don't recommend the 20 delta trade for beginners. That's something that's a little bit more advanced. The 35 delta trade is what I do every week, and I would recommend you start with that. It's a system that you can just jump right into if you're cool with following directions and do it right off the bat. You can just do it right away if you'd like. Under that is going to be the links to the recordings for all of your Q&A. So remember, every Friday we have a Q&A through week 4. When week 5 comes in, we start our office hours. So you'll see all the recordings for office hours. When we get into September, this is going to be the recordings for our live trading sessions. You're going to get access to Options Pro, which starts on August 1st. It's going to run through late September. If you want to have some tutorial videos for Options Pro, you can open that up. One other thing I would definitely recommend a lot of people watch, this comes up all the time, is a risk graph. We use risk graphs a lot, and there's some videos right here that are going to take you through the steps of a risk graph. We'll work on it in class too, don't get me wrong, but if you want to get a head start there. Underneath, we have all our broker help videos. We got Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. I don't have any other brokers available right now because those are the only ones I have access to. I did, however, just open up an account with Tasty Trade. So sometime over the next 4 or 5 months, maybe sooner, I might have some Tasty Trade videos, but it's not something you're going to see right away. But you'll have access to all this for a year, by the way. So if I do add Tasty Trade videos, you'll be able to see that in the next year. And then last but not least on the lessons is the webinar links. Remember, the course is live, but you can also just simply watch the recordings too. You don't have to come live. We record all the live events. But if you're, 24 hours before the live event, we send an email that says, hey, live event's coming. Here's the link to join. Listen, email's not a perfect science, as we all know, right? Gets cluttered, junk, spam, whatever. We understand. That's why in this section, if you click on it, you're going to see links to all of our live classes all the way through the entire course. Okay? They're not activated yet for like week 2 and beyond because we haven't activated those yet. But you can already see here's the link for the welcome session we have on Tuesday, July 30th, and everything there. And then finally, in this section is under resources. If you click under resources right there, this is where you can access all of the materials. So if you want to download the slides, print them out for yourself, you can do that. As we get later on into the modules, you'll see things like our position sizing worksheet, our spread checklists, SPX modules, all the slides and everything, that a click-by-click order entry. So everything you need to be successful with the paycheck course is right there in the university site of VectorVest.
All right. Thank you, Ron. I just saw a note from David. He says, the course looks fantastic. So we agree, David. It is a great course. You're not going to be disappointed. So welcome aboard, David. And those of you who have signed up, I saw Hari wanted to know how do I get into the course? It'll be in the directions will be in your welcome email. But if you just go to university.vectorvest.com, that's how you could access your course material. It's just university.vectorvest.com. But those of you who haven't joined, just go to optionspaycheck.com. And that's how you can get registered and get in, just like a bunch of other people have. Okay. I just saw somebody say they didn't get the welcome email. Please check your junk or your spam folder. If you don't see it in there, there's a chance that either we typed your email address wrong or you typed it wrong. Something like that could happen. I would just recommend you give us a call and we could manually send it to you. I put the phone number in the chat for you. That's just 888-658-7638. That's also there if you want to just talk to a human. Sometimes people like to just get extra confirmation by talking to a human before they place an order. So that phone number is in the chat. All right. So other than that, thank you, Ron, for going through the course materials there. There was a gentleman who had asked about, do they need like a really big size account, or like his actual question was, how big of an account does he need to trade what you showed here today?
You really don't. I mean, you can start with a $5,000 account and trade one contract of the SPX index.
As you can see, this
That's
white
really all
vehicle
you
is
need.
our.
Now, listen, if you want to add a little more to it, if somebody says, hey, Ron, I've got funds, what do you recommend to start with? I would say 25 grand's good, because that's going to allow you to trade an S&P position. It's going to allow you to trade a couple stocks. You're going to be able to diversify yourself a little bit, but you can start with one S&P trade a week for as little as 5 grand. And you're still on average 3% per month. So you can start with as little as you want. And, I would say you can probably trade up to $400,000 or $500,000 using a system like this, because like anything else, right? Scalability goes to a certain level. You can't trade, thousands of options contracts doing a system like this with millions and millions of dollars. It'd be nice if you could, but, this is primarily geared towards, us individual investors and not kind of like, institutions, if you will.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Ron. Next up, we had somebody ask, I got to scroll back down to get to it. This question is from Peter. I just said, can you just go over that live schedule one more time?
Absolutely. Let's go back here. Give me 1 second to pull up the slides. Takes me a second to do that. And there you go. So that's the first month. That's the, the last week of July all the way through the almost last week of August. So again, we start, the first mastery session is on Wednesday the 30th, and I've lost my cursor. There it is. Wednesday the 31st, pardon me. It's at 4:30, And then the next day is the mastery session for module 2. So a lot of work in that first week, but then it kind of slows the pace down. Now, we also have the Q&A on Friday. So the difference between the mastery and the Q&A, by the way, is this is only relating to module 1. This is only relating to module 2. And then the Q&A, we talk about everything from module 1 and module 2. And then the following week we do 3 and then 4, and then in the Q&A we go 1 through 4. So that's the schedule through the first, parts of August. Then the next month is our live trading curriculum. That starts on Monday the 26th. 11 a.m. is my SPX trade. Then at 2 p.m. I do stock trades. You'll see that that's always on a Monday, except for that second week where we have a market holiday. It's on Tuesday. Okay. And then on Tuesdays, we have our office hours at 4:30. And again, those are just going to be a repetition of finding trades. Can you find trades at night? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'll show you how to put orders in for the next day. It's not a problem. And then Wednesday or Friday at noon, pardon me, this is going to be where we do it at noon. So just another way to answer questions and look for more trading opportunities. Just repetition, repetition, repetition to get you in there.
All right. Next up, Ron, is a question, a double question from David. And David's the gentleman who said, this course looks fantastic. I had a question for a little bit more detail on the SPX system, but this is also good for everybody else who's interested in the SPX system, which, by the way, Ron said a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, we got feedback from some of our past students that said they would have, if they were to do it over again, they would have jumped down to the S&P training first, since that is just a really quick, very simple technique, then go back and do the stock presentations and learn how to do it on stocks. So those of you who are interested in that technique, which I say it's super simple, a lot of work went into it, that years of practice and doing it of trading for Ron. But the important thing is he boiled it down into a simple to do system. That being said, all right, going over to David's question, he says, hey, Ron, does the SPX system typically generate about 3% a month, or is that the stock system? And he had a follow-up, which says, are the results of the 11-day SPX system different than the 25-day?
So the answer is yes, they are different. That the longer term trades, the shorter term trades, they are a little bit different. The 11-day trade that I do, or the shorter term 35 delta trade, that is going to have a lower rate of probability of winning. It's averaged about 59% over the 8 years that I've run it. The risk reward is more even with no repairs, whereas the other trade, the longer term 20 delta trade I do, that has a higher probability in the 70% range, but it also requires repairs with a much worse risk reward. So it's a little bit of a, everything's got a pro and a con to it, right? I like doing the 35 delta trade because it's, I don't have to repair anything. It's pretty easy to do, even with a little bit lower success rate. But the 35 delta trade has actually outperformed the other one over the last couple of years, which is nice. Now, as far as the 3% per month goes, with the S&P, generally speaking, you can see on average 2 to 3% per month alone. Okay, I don't want to say you're going to be able to get 3% per month just with the S&P alone. You might have to throw some stocks in there. However, on its own, you can generally generate from the history of the trade 2 to 3% per month. And if you start compounding it, that's when you start getting into that higher, that 4.5% rate. As your account grows, you add more contracts, then you can start compounding that a little bit more. But typically, the S&P on its own is going to be about 2 to 3% per month.
All right, next up, Mr. Wheeler, is a question from Glenn asking, I guess he lives in Australia. He's asking about the Australian market. He says, does this system apply to the Australian market? And I guess we could answer the same question for our Canadian friends and our people from Europe friends. So what would you say to Glenn?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of clients in Australia. Now, I will say, a lot around the world, a lot of our clients do a lot of trades here in the US. They do US options because we have really the most liquidity for the most part. But the concepts that I teach, the analytics that we use, they're not proprietary. You can use them with anybody. So we do have people that trade in the UK. We have people that trade in Australia with the Australian options markets and Canadian options markets. So yeah, I mean, you can do really any country around the world as long as there's liquidity in the options market. You can use these concepts.
All right, next up is Mike with a question about brokers. He says, I use Thinkorswim.
Mhm.
Does the video training show me how to set up and analyze trades on that platform instead of using, and he listed another product. So he wants to know, do you have the training to show him how to do it using his broker, Thinkorswim?
From the side of the options, yes. So, I have videos that show you how to find expensive options. I have videos that show you how to find probability, ITMs, risk reward, how to find you know, the risk graphs and things like that. Yes, we do. We have videos for that. Now, what I don't have is videos to kind of walk you through a search and how to analyze a stock and search for stock analytics and things like that. That I don't have. But from the option point of view, I do have videos to help you do that.
All right, perfect. And just a reminder, the $9.95 price that we're looking at here is good for the next few minutes while we're live, and maybe a few minutes after we wrap up the Q&A tonight. And then the $9.95 will go away and it'll go up to $12.95. Registration closes for good. Like, nobody can get in, and if you try to register after July 30th, right? July 30th at 10 a.m. That's when registration closes. I saw a question in the chat from one of our elite members. So here at VectorVest has been in business for like 30 some odd years, right? 30 plus years. So we have members who've been with us for a long time and they've reached elite status. So if you are one of them, like Bruce, I believe, typed into the chat box that he was elite, you get this $9.95 rate all the time. Now, you can get the $9.95 rate whenever you want. So that'll be good for you all the way up until the 30th. But keep in mind, come the 30th at 10 a.m., registration closes and you can't even get in at the $9.95 rate. Everybody else who's not elite, the $9.95 rate is good for while we're live, and then it goes to $12.95, which is still a great price. Now, I know it's, as Ron said, we know it's an investment, but this is one of those investments that gets returned to you. It's not going to take years to get it returned to you. We've been teaching this concept since this system since 2016, since 8 years, and of course Ron's tweaked it and refined it and to make it better and better and better. The only way we've been able to teach it for so long is because of the results that people get, and we're hoping that you make that choice yourself. All right, so I think there's a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up for the night. Let me just double check here. Peter, I have accounts with Robinhood, Interactive Brokers. Is one better for this system and for options?
I mean, I would definitely say IB would be better. They have a platform that's, really has everything you need. I couldn't tell you about Robinhood. I'm not familiar with what their option stuff is, but IB out of those two is way better.
All right. So David says he's got to run. He's looking forward to it. Those of you who are in, welcome aboard. You should have gotten an email from us with all the great details in it. You can hop into your account right now and start going through the course. All you have to do is just log into university.vectorvest.com. There's no W's, right? Just university.vectorvest.com. Sign in with the username and password you have or the one you just created, and you can get in there and go through the course. If you were already signed in when you went in there, just sign out and then sign back in. That way it refreshes your account and you should see the course and get ready to go. There's a phone number in the chat. If you ever need to talk to anybody, just call that number. We'll also give you a private email address as a student of this course. And Ron, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, you might have, but one of the cool things that you do is, like, if somebody sends in a question, if needed, you could just record a short private video for them where you're just talking to them and showing them the answer to their question if they are not able to make it to a live session.
Yeah, it's much easier for me to do it that way. It's always easier to have a picture that I can show you as opposed to just trying to write everything down. So it is nice having those little personal videos for sure.
All right. And Gene, you're asking, is IB better than Thinkorswim? I think, Ron, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we can kind of agree that Thinkorswim is just easier to use and it's got some nice features in there than IB. Would you say the same?
I agree. It's a little more user-friendly for sure. Thinkorswim is.
Yep. Now, Gene, we understand you've been with IB for 20 years. That's always a little tough to switch. We're not saying you have to switch totally. You could. What some people have done, Gene, is they just open up enough in the other account just to until they get comfortable with it, and then if they like it, just switch totally.
Yeah, and IB has all the tools you need, so don't think that like you're missing anything. It's just that their user interface might be a little bit more difficult, but they have all the tools you need. It's a good platform for sure.
All right. So with that, I think we are ready to wrap it up, Ron. So we're excited, everybody, to get in there and get started with you. It's always an exciting time for us because we get the surveys afterwards from people saying how much this has changed their life. It's like the best options course they've taken. That's not my words. It's just words that they've said in the surveys. And we're hoping that you make the same decision. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Ron, to just wrap up for the night and get us ready for this great weekend ahead.
All right. Thank you, Brian. And thank you to my other colleagues, John and Todd in the background for answering questions as well. And a special thanks, of course, to all of you for sticking with me for this 90 minutes or so. So I hope I've, at least opened your eyes to the possibility that you can do this with options. And it really is, as someone who converted completely to options investing over the last 15 years, it really is something that can be done and repeatable, and it's easy to teach. It's just such a great thing for people to learn. So I hope I got you interested. For those of you that signed up, I know you did. And I look forward to working with you over the next 2 months. We're going to be in a great position here, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And you're going to learn a lot too. And you're really going to set yourself up for a secure income approach. So thanks once again, everybody, and thank you. If you have any questions, by all means, you can give us a call at our office. And I wish you all the best of success. For those of you joining me in a couple of weeks, welcome, and we'll see you then. Have a great evening, everybody, and see you next time. Take care, everybody.